Okay, good afternoon or good morning or good evening, wherever you are in the world, to everyone. And thank you for coming to this webinar, A Taste of Virtually Naked. And I can imagine by the name, some of you may be wondering what that's all about. So of course, I want to make sure that you're all in the right place before I get started, or make sure for you that you're all in the right place. So before I get started with that, even though, oh my goodness, I don't know what that was. It was a big pounding noise. I think it's my next door neighbors. Anyway, what I'm going to ask you to do, I'm going to run this like a webinar, which is basically a webinar. It's an old style like seminar where I'm going to give a little talk. I'll keep it to about 30 minutes. And then I'm going to share with you a little bit about the naked retreats and immersions that are coming up this year. And the different ways that we can do that. And then I'm going to open it up to anything that you want to share at all. So you can just pipe in if you want to ask a question. It can be about the understanding, it can be about the conversation, or it can be specifically about the offerings. And if there are, just to make it fair on people, if more people come on, if there's a bigger audience, just there's a raise your hand button. It might not make sense to use it if there's just a few of you, but if we need to, it's good just to raise a hand, because it comes up in order then, and I can tell who is next to ask a question, just to make sure everyone gets a question in. And if you've any chats that you want to put in, feel free to use the chat box, but bear in mind, I probably won't be looking in there unless I specifically ask a question, which I am actually going to do. I've got 2 questions to ask that I want you to put into the chat box. But anything else besides that, you can. What's good as well is if you have a question or you want to share something, is to write it down so that you have a question sort of, or whatever it is that you want to say, formulated by the time the questions and answers and the sharing part of the call comes up. So I'm going to try to keep this to 1 hour if possible. And so let me start by sharing who this is for, and then also a little bit about me for those people who may be watching the replay who have never met me before. And also about what's different, what's happening that's different in what I'm sharing with the world in 2023, because it's quite a big shift. And I think that's quite important to share. And this is the whole reason why we're here today. So Happy New Year, everybody, first and foremost, and welcome to 2023. I hope you've all been having a good start so far. If you're here, you may be feeling drawn to this, or you may be that it's and I'm speaking to the people in the replay as well, because a lot of people will be watching the replay, or it may just be that you're curious, or you might know my work already, you might be a client of mine. Usually I find what I've done is I've opened up the space. So for those of you who don't know me, I offer an understanding that I call Divitude. So I've been in the coaching industry for 15 years, and I'm also a singer. So I kind of developed this brand, so to speak, with this understanding that I call Divitude, which really just focuses on helping you to see where your experience of life is coming from. But I specifically love to work with people who have a vision. So visionaries, people who like to create. So the work that I do, I would describe as spiritual and psychological, but it's less. It's not to discriminate, but I find that I work best, and I love to work with people who have a vision, who really want to make a change in their lives or a change in the world, right? Especially a change in the world. Now, if you're here and you're listening to this and that doesn't sound like you, I also would like to evoke that in you, because every person has some role to play on this planet, no matter what it is, whether it's something that seems small to you. You know, some people become presidents, and some people become humanitarians and philanthropists and build empires. And some people are making differences that look like to the world on a smaller level, but those visions are very, very important too. And there are times I know where some people have lost touch with their vision, perhaps, like you don't really know what it is anymore, or you may have had a vision a long time ago. You may have had something that you wanted to create a long time ago, and you've lost touch with it because life has just gotten heavy and difficult and a struggle. Or you may have never had a vision, and it might just be something that you're looking here at this, you know, listening to what I'm saying here and thinking, oh my gosh, I don't have a vision. Am I in the right place? Well, if you're in any way just interested in this conversation, I'd say stick around and see what comes through, because I do believe that every single person has what you might want to call a desire, or a true desire, which is like a little seed that's planted in each of us from birth, or even before, perhaps, right? In our souls. It's like a soul's desire. And that desire doesn't go anywhere. It's part of the bigger picture. It's part of the universe. It's part of a bigger plan that's not just you, because we are not alone, right? So if you're here and you have a desire, or you're listening to this conversation and you're thinking, well, I don't have one, but I'm curious to know how I could get one, right? Or you're, again, you know, you're the biggest philanthropist or, you know, entrepreneur on the planet, either or, you're welcome here, man or woman. And also I want to address that if you are having any problems in your life. So we talk about creating things, but very often what happens is that we have a desire to create something and we don't actually manage to create it, or it feels like a big struggle to create it because life is throwing a lot of stuff at us, right? There's a lot to deal with in life. And so I want to share that this space is not just about helping you. And when I talk about this space, I mean being in my presence, right? Being on this webinar, or working with me online, or working with me face-to-face, or whatever way that might come about. It's not just about let's all look towards the vision and everyone should have one and let's all just meditate and create the vision, right? I am deeply empathic towards people, and every single person's problem, no matter how small it might seem, is valid. And it's really important that that's addressed from where I'm standing, that you are seen as that your experience of life wherever you are right now. And that might be that a few weeks ago you were on top of the world and everything looked amazing and it all looked like it was all falling into place and you loved everybody and your business was booming and all the money was coming in. And now it looks like the complete opposite to that, right? And that's where you are right now. And where that's coming from, and this is really what the Divitude understanding is about for those of you who don't know, but it's always good to reiterate it anyway, right? To remind ourselves, is purely through your thinking. It just depends on which thoughts we're focused on. So I'll get a little bit more into that in a moment. I don't want to go too heavily into that today. For most people who are here, you probably know plenty about that already, because I've been sharing it for a long time, right? So if anyone is still here and they're like, this is definitely not for me, then of course feel free to leave, okay? And we won't take offense. But for those of you sticking around, let's talk a little bit more about naked and what that's about and where this is coming from. So the reason why I brought everyone together here to have this webinar, and why I wanted to create a recording of it so that I can send it out to people and share it with people, is because I've been deepening this understanding, great divitude that I call it, of where our experience life is coming from for the last 8 years personally. And I've been sharing it for the last 3 years, but I've been sharing it with business owners and entrepreneurs, mostly people who are spiritually inclined. Some of the entrepreneurs that I work with they're usually service providers. Some of them are really offering very spiritual or healing kind of services, and some not. Some, like Rose, who's here, for example, is offering interior design. I've got singers. I've worked with singers. I've worked with yoga teachers. So there's a broad spectrum of the people that I'm working with. But the thing that we all have in common is that we are somehow drawn to becoming better people, right? And doing it from an inside out perspective, as in raising our consciousness, raising our level of frequency, like being a higher level person. So you might call it your higher self, right? And this year, the turn of this year, and what was coming to me right before that kind of led me up to having this webinar and the offerings that I want to introduce this year, It's been coming because of the understanding that I've been sharing with entrepreneurs only at that time, over the last 3 years, I've seen that there are faster and more impactful ways to help people to deepen their grounding in this understanding. So I have certainly experienced it myself, and not just recently, but over the last few years. And I've seen different ways to do this. And also I've seen that it's really, and this is a personal desire of mine, I don't want to just bring this to entrepreneurs, right? It is wonderful that I'm bringing it to people who are service providers that have the opportunity, like coaches, for example, to bring it out to to more people and share it. And that was a mission of mine, until quite recently, and it still is. But I also have started to see that there's an opportunity here for everyone, the collective, to have access to this understanding if they desire it, if they want it, if they feel drawn. So that's why when I started this conversation, I wanted to share with you how, while I'm opening it up to men and women, and I'm opening it up to non-entrepreneurs, I still, at the core of what I do, there is still a very strong part of me that wants to help people who have a desire to create, even if that desire is buried deep down inside you somewhere right now, okay? Because I really support and believe that we are all part of creation. We are all part of this infinite life force that only knows how to create. And that when we really can truly get out of our own way, then that creation runs through us all on its own. So a lot of us in particular struggle with the idea of creating or manifesting, some people call it, like law of attraction and all of that kind of stuff, because they try and it looks like it's not working. And then it seems like, nothing's working for me, therefore I'm giving up on this. And they lose faith in what their visions were. They lose faith in their desires. And I want you to know that those desires cannot go anywhere. They literally cannot go anywhere. But the reason why we're not in touch with them, for those of you who are not, and we can have contractions in and out of that. Like one moment we really feel like, yes, I'm on track with this desire. And then another moment we're just like, that's a load of BS. What was that all about? Why was I even putting any energy into that, right? I'm just going to hook that into a drawer somewhere, right? So sometimes we can feel like that too, but that desire is not going anywhere. We're just not seeing all of the help. And when I talk about help, I've talked about a spiritual team in some of my Divitude Academy classes, where it's like we have there are beings around us, there are people around us that are in our lives. There are maybe beings that we cannot see. It depends on what you believe in. There's energy, whatever you believe in. It could be quantum physics, it could be God, it could be angels, whatever you believe in, that there's energy, let's call it that, to put it at its most basic level, that is supporting our desires, because those desires aren't just ours. We are co-creating all the time with the creator, and we are the creator, right? So we are not alone in this. So our minds are our best friend and our worst enemy all at the one time, because our minds are the thing that can come up with the best ideas and get really divinely inspired ideas that come directly from, I call it the mothership, right? Or from God, or from the divine, or from wisdom, or from source, or whatever you like to call it. And these ideas are very well supported. But then what can happen, and what I've seen happen very, very often, is that our old thinking, our habit is to go into old thinking and fears and beliefs that we've innocently picked up from our childhood, from our environment, even within our industries that we're working in, even within the healing, the self-development, the coaching industry. And we kind of talk ourselves out of the belief and the faith that our desires are there. And we innocently fall for our fears, and we get scared and all sorts of things like that, right? So the concept of naked is about stripping layers, okay? And let me share you what's different about naked versus divitude. Divitude is part of naked, okay? The conversation that we're having, and for those of you who are here, who are from our Divitude Academy, which is still going to be happening. Our Divitude Academy is my signature offer, which is for entrepreneurs specifically. And that's always going to have 8 people in it. And so we're always constantly running that evergreen. So we still have that going. But Divitude, the conversation is still there. However, as I've been going through my own personal journey as a person who wants to create a big vision, who wants to bring other people with her, who wants to help not only raise my own consciousness, but contribute towards raising the consciousness on the planet collectively. I have seen that I need help. And so I've called for help, and help has come. And so I am not only going to be bringing, I'm going to call it Naked now, because Naked, the collective, a collaboration. So I basically have collaborated with somebody else here on the island that I'm living on Fuerteventura, who is an ancestral healer, who is what she calls herself a quantic healer. I first came across her name's Etsanua, and I first came across her 3 years ago, but met her 2 years ago. And where the divitude understanding comes in, it's that my wisdom led me to her. So I had a chronic disease, you might call it, called endometriosis. It's a disease of the womb that's hereditary, that my mom had, my sister had. It used to be treated very radically. For example, my mother had to have a hysterectomy when she was 36 years old. It can affect conceiving children, all sorts of things like that, and can cause a lot of pain. And it's incurable, according to doctors. And my wisdom led me to Etsanua to do a ritual with her that healed this endometriosis that I'd had for 25 years, 100%. Like, I never imagined in my wildest dreams I could have such vitality and health in my life. And I was 42, 43 when it happened. So I wasn't like a young woman or anything like that, right? And it really gave me a lot of faith, because I've worked with a lot of healers in my life. And as I've gotten to know Etsanua, she's a friend of mine, she's around the same age, I felt an affiliation, because basically what she's doing is she is bringing the same thing to people that I'm bringing to people, but in a different way. And to second that, I also started, I live here on this island, which is a naturist island. So in the Canary Islands, there are 6 Canary Islands, you can be nude or naked in a non-sexual way. This is just about being free and liberated on any of our beaches. So we have hundreds of beaches just on this island alone, and it's not unusual to see people sunbathing and walking around naked. And I, coming from an Irish background and being quite prudish, very slowly got into this way of doing things. Started off with my daughter Stella doing it, because kids love to be naked, and the kids run around here on the beaches naked all the time, and nothing is ever said. It's all very normal. So I started to try it myself. And what I found happened was, as I was lying sunbathing naked, I had this really profound insight that everything that I'm sharing in Divitude, the understanding, is embodied in this experience, in that we literally need nothing. We're connected to nature, which alone for most people brings you into a state of presence that makes you feel at one with God, or at one with source, or whatever it might be, which frees you of your busy thinking that most of us are caught up with all of the time, right? That's the first thing. The second thing is, you don't have clothes. You don't have a need for anything. So there's literally nothing that you need. You are fully whole. And for me, this was an embodying experience that for me felt as though it shot me up that elevator of consciousness that I speak of, 1,000 floors in 5 seconds flat, right? And I thought, and in the same way as, I've seen in the past, I've read books about people who've distributed, in the 70s, LSD and psychedelics and magic mushrooms and all of these kind of things to help people to see what it is like to be awakened or at a higher level of consciousness. It's just another way of doing this, right? So I spoke with Etsanua, who also is an avid naturist, and we got together and decided to make a collaboration where we've got a very much body, mind, and soul, and this is the third part, immersion. So what I've also seen to be true, and I've done this with my own coach, Grace, who is a 3 principles coach, where we've actually been in retreats. So we're spending much longer periods of time together, a more intensive period of time. So up until now, except for before the pandemic, I used to do one-on-one retreats where I'd bring people to Fuerteventura and I'd spend a day with them, for example, or 2 days with them, one-on-one, but not in groups. Up until now, I've been sharing Divitude, especially in the last 3 years, because basically I started this version of my business just before the pandemic, online, and usually we're seeing each other like every week for shorter periods, like 1 hour, 1 hour and a half, 2 hours maximum, right? So I think those ladies who are in the Divitude Academy will also possibly share that, you know, having that 2 hour space, like a longer space of time, to really give ourselves time to get really into the present moment, to really get into the understanding, so that our thoughts are really, our personal thinking, our busy minds are really settling, and the layers are being shed, so our minds are naked, right? And that we're really then having these insights, having these moments, these aha moments, these feelings that everything is all right with the world, and that our problems that we thought when we came on the call that seemed to kind of like dissipate, right? Now, this is where Etsanua, the healer, is very, very helpful. And also the nature part of things, which doesn't necessarily have to be naked. And I'm going to explain the containers and whatever in a moment as well. So like, you're not all kind of thinking, how the hell are we going to do this? Are we all going to get on Zoom naked now or what, you know? So we're not going to do that, by the way. Okay. But the healing work that she does is on a cellular and an ancestral level. So I look at what thoughts we are bringing with us, say from childhood, what thoughts we're bringing from conditioning. But what we don't often address, and what I am not equipped to do, is what ideas are so ingrained in us that they're almost genetic, right? And I used to not believe in that until I saw my daughter Stella have mannerisms the same as my father, who's passed away, who she hasn't met since she was 2 years old, and she's now 5. And that's uncanny. Like, how does a child have mannerisms, things that she does and says, and accents and words that my father used and did and expressed himself, that this child would not remember from 2 years old, right? And so in this ancestral healing, what we're looking at here is quite intensive work that's but quick and speedy, because I've seen it myself. I haven't been cured of this disease after, it was like an hour, right? Of working with Etsanua. She's a very powerful healer, and that we're going in at a much deeper cellular level. So what we're doing here, the outcome of all of this from my vision, is that we're raising consciousness in ourselves, which is contributing towards raising consciousness on the planet. For those of you who are facilitators, who are going out and, you know, sharing this with others, of course, you're going to be sharing this with other people too, right? Bringing it out to the wider audience, not just women, and also not just entrepreneurs, so that everyone has this opportunity to very quickly raise their consciousness and to draw a line in the sand. Because what the work that I've been doing with Divitude with you all has been that, you know, we're drawing a line in the sand and you're recreating who you're being from this moment forward. You have the power to do that just through your thoughts, right? But the healing part of it, bringing that on board too with Etsanua's help, or going into nature and being in nature and collectively being in nature together, and seeing how, you know, for example, being naked in front of another person, like we go to cities, right? And we all want to dress the same because we want to be the same. We want to be accepted, right? That's human nature. So we all want to wear the same clothes. We all want to wear the makeup if we're women, and have the hairstyles, because if we don't, we feel like we're left out, right? So when everyone is together and we're all naked, and I've done this, we're all the same. right? We're all the same. So what it does again is it strips away layers and layers and layers again of thinking, because we are programmed to believe that being naked is sexual, for example. We're programmed to believe that it's not the right thing to do. We shouldn't let people see our bodies and all of this kind of thing, because society has turned it into a sexualized thing, right? Which is actually not the truth at all, right? So it's multifaceted and multi-layering these concepts and or this way of expressing this understanding in an immersive way, so that you're together for a longer period of time, immersed in the understanding and having the complementary healing work on top of it, and the complementary immersion of being in nature and all of this on top of it, that really makes breakthroughs and shoots you up the levels of consciousness and helps you create at a faster level and helps you bring it to other people and impact people at a deeper level. So that's really what this is all about, okay? So I'm going to just share very briefly with you, okay, what these containers entail this year and how it's going to work for everybody, because we're doing it on two ways. So the first way is that I'm continuing with what some of you here might know as Divitude, which I'm just basically packaging up as naked or virtually naked, as an immersive. So we're going to have a weekend retreat, in an online weekend retreat. There will be no element of being naked. There won't be any of the healing work. It's literally just what we do in Divitude Academy, but for a longer period of time over the course of 2 days. So it's an intensive online retreat where we come together in conversation, we come together in presence, we allow wisdom to come through. And the insights that usually come through on these longer containers are usually quite profound. People get really deep insights. So I facilitated one of these before in person, not online, but I've been to a number of these online. And I have found I've gotten my deepest insights from these immersive containers. So that's basically it. And I have a link to share with you. That's the very start. This is like the initiation of Naked. After this, and at the same time, rather, I'm actually offering to the people who live here on the island 1 day and 2 day, the same thing as what we're doing online, but in person. And this will also include complementary healing from Etsanua and also some time at the beach and this kind of experience to be naked as well. And then I'm offering the big whole shebang, I suppose you'd call it, is the 1 week retreat. So this will be called the Naked Experience. And this is open to everybody, anybody who I've worked with online, anybody new who would like to travel here. And I'm going to host this for 8 people as well. So it'll be a fully immersive 1 week long retreat called the Naked Experience. You won't be naked all the time or anything like that. And of course, there's nothing that anyone has to do that, that they don't want to do, but it will be, there will be opportunities, and there will be also times where we'll be doing some work where we will all be naked, right? And so most of it will be in a workshop style conversation, like the Divitude conversation. And then there'll be times where Etsanua will come in and do some healing work. So it'll all be scheduled. There'll be lots of downtime. So it's like any kind of retreat that you can imagine being on, and everyone will stay together in the same accommodation, under the same roof. So there's a great opportunity for, making deep connections and all of that too. But these kind of retreats as well, again, it's this really immersive element of this that really deepens and deepens the understanding, right? But then we're also combining it with the healing as well. So I just want to come back to the true desire part, and then I'm going to wrap up my part, and I'm going to just open it up to anybody who'd like to ask a question. And I'm going to ask you all a little question as well, okay? I'm going to start with asking a question to you as well. So coming back to the true desire and your experience of life, for those of you who don't know about Divitude, because I don't want to dismiss that some people will be watching this that don't know about Divitude. we all have a desire. There's something within us, and we are all whole, we are all sovereign, and we are all connected to the one energy source, right? And some people call it God, and some people call it creation, and some people call it source, some people call it love. It doesn't really matter what you call it, but if that's something you see to be true, then that's all that matters. And this desire, as I said at the start, is like a little seed that's planted in us that doesn't go anywhere, right? And how we express that desire can be expressed in infinite ways, right? So I'm going to give you an example just to make this very tangible. A few years ago, I had a vision, and it came very quickly, like in a moment, where I wanted to buy some land here on the island and build yurts and create a community. And it wasn't a brand new desire. It happened about 2 years ago. But then it was a remembrance of, I remember having a similar kind of a dream or vision about 10 years prior to that, or even more, 12 years prior to that. And I'd kind of just forgotten about it, right? And then I just got on with my life, and I did my thing, and I had a baby, and I built a business and all of that kind of stuff, right? Moved countries. And then I wrote down this desire, and I had it on my wall, and then something happened in my life, or collective things happened in my life that got me into lower states of thinking, and that made me just not believe in that desire anymore, right? So I took it off my wall and I rolled it up and I put it on top of my refrigerator. And recently, when I just got into a better state of mind, when life was just a bit easier and there was less crap being thrown at me, because everyone has crap being thrown at them, right? And it's normal, it's a human experience to feel crappy at times, right? And that's what I don't want to overlook for anybody. I don't want everyone to be like, come on, everyone, put out your vision board. And if you're not, riding the vision board train, then you're out of here. No, because we need to deal with what's really going on for you, right? So I put it away. And then recently, when things were feeling a little better, that desire came back. So these desires tend to come back. But when I ask myself, why do I want to build yurts? Why do I want to have people in a community living on land in yurts? That's the true desire. It's more of a feeling than anything. And what I realized is what I really, truly desire that's not going away is community and support, right? And that might be expressed by land and yurts, but it also can be expressed in other ways that I maybe not be seeing, and that really they're little miracles that it's already happening all the time. So, I mean, I'm already in the Diva Academy, which, we even have peer support. And even though I'm facilitating it, it's still supportive to me. There's community, right, online. I wanted to have more community in my local area. And somehow this magical thing happened over the Christmas where I just had an idea just to have, get together with some people. And I just said, hey, would anyone like to meet up? And now I've got like 22 people in a group. It happened like within a week, and we're all meeting up at the beach with no agenda, right? So there's another community and support, and it's a support group. And I've been using this support word, not realizing I've been doing it. So this desire is happening all on its own. It's being created for me all on its own. So the thing about a desire is that you can't create something that's not in you already. It's like a spark. As I said, it's like a seed. It's already in you. Your desire is already in you. And everyone has one or more. It depends, you can have desires for each area of your life practically, right? And so it's about noticing. So this comes back to the Divitude understanding then, because what we notice, the thoughts that we notice and the ones that we notice and put our focus on are the ones that come true. But most of us are in the habit of focusing on the fears, focusing on, oh God, well, this happened before, so therefore that's going to happen again, right? Or how the hell could I do that? Because everyone out there is telling me that's stupid, or that's ridiculous, or you're never going to be able to do that. That's impossible, right? And I want you to know that every desire, if it's a true desire, if you get to the root of your true desire, everything that's a true desire is possible. And not only is it possible, but it's possible for it to be expressed through you as a human being in infinite ways. So I'm already I already have had community and support all along, but I wasn't seeing it per se, right? I wasn't like seeing it as this is the desire that's happening, but it's there. And it doesn't even really matter whether I see it or not. The universe knows, right? Because then the universe is already helping me. And as my mind settles, so our Divitude conversation is about settling our mind, is about stripping away the layers naked, right, of these old habits of thought that prevent us from seeing what's already in front of us, prevent us from seeing the opportunities, preventing us from getting the ideas that we can put out there into the world to create what we want to create. So very, very quickly over Christmas, as I got in touch with my true desire, I started to see that it's already manifesting in many different ways already, not just in one way. And that the more I feed it, it's like watering a plant, right? The more it grows and the more I get that feeling. So the more I am being this true desire, which is community and support, and I'm feeling it and it's happening, the bigger it grows. So of course there's a possibility, a great possibility, that if I really wanted to, and I wanted to find out the practical tools to buy land and build yurts and create a community, then that would happen. And actually I've seen already signs of that, because I'm getting things in my inbox which I didn't even know I signed up for, about here's how you can buy land and create a eco community and grow vegetables and live in a community if you don't even have any money to buy land, right? And then some guy has a course for $155. I haven't bought it because I don't think I'd have the time to sit down and watch it. But do you see what I mean? There's all these things that are being brought my way, and they're coming because my true desire is being nurtured, right? So and this is why when I started the conversation, I said, I love to work with people who want to create something, because I really, truly believe we are all here because we are creation to create something, no matter how big or small it looks to other people. That's none of anybody's business, because each creation is a contribution to the collective, right? So whether you're at the stage where you're fully sure what your true desire is and what you want to create, or whether it's that you have no idea, or you just feel so flat in your life right now that it's just like, I don't even have a desire. I don't even want to create anything. I just want to be able to wake up and get out of bed every day and not feel crap, right? If there's something in what I'm saying here today that's just feeling like drawing you in, then that's enough, right? And then on top of that, if there's something in what I'm sharing around how we help you to get there, with this conversation of helping you just notice when you're in your habitual thinking, helping you to get present, to really connect with wisdom, with intelligent information, to help you solve problems, to help you create, to have support in and empathy and validation that your problems are real, right? That they're not made up in your head, that the things that happen in our lives really do happen. And that sometimes, like I had the worst year financially ever last year, okay, in my business and in life in general. And I don't put that down to I'm crap at business, because I'm not. I know I'm very good at business. I've been in business 15 years and I've taught people how to build businesses. I put it down to that sometimes we have harder times in life and we just have to learn to navigate it. And sometimes there's just a process we've got to go through to see something else. And then there's light at the end of the tunnel, right? But it's it's our experience of that as we're going through it. If I didn't have this understanding and I was going through that, I could have looked at it like, oh my God, I'm a crap businesswoman, or oh my God, I need to learn how to do business in a different way because this way is not working. Like Facebook wasn't working for me this year very much. So it's like, now I have to go and find a new platform. I have to find Instagram, or I have to find, and believe me, I was very tempted to go and hire somebody to teach me how to use Instagram, because I thought for a while there that Facebook wasn't working anymore for me. But it's got nothing to do with that, right? It's simply that there are times in our lives, because we create everything ourselves, where our minds and our thinking are so loud that we're not really able to see the truth. We're not really able to see the guidance that's there, right? Or, and I'd like to stress this as well, and I think it's a combination of the two, there is a timeline that's not ours, it's divine timing. like, it's like, yeah, okay, I have a desire. I want to have a business with a lot of people and a lot of money and all of these kind of things. But when it looks like a whole year of just basically trying to make enough money to live on, which was my case this year, and I'm no problem with sharing that, it can look like, you know, that it's everything out there. But what it really is, it's just that it's just divine timing. It's like, well, maybe this is just the pace that I need to go on. And what this is teaching me to do is to slow down and to see that there's everything else going on around me in the universe. We're not alone creating, we are co-creating. All the people I know in my life, all the people you know in your life, all of your spiritual team, if you want to call it that we don't see physically, right? Or the energy, whatever way you want to put it, right? That's your desire is being orchestrated in the background, even when it looks like, oh my God, this year is like climbing up a bloody mountain every month just to try to get enough money to pay the bills, right? Now that's for entrepreneurs, right? But in other areas of life, because again, I want to make this inclusive for everybody, that might just be trying to work on a relationship or creating a new relationship. You might want to meet the person of your dreams to settle down, and it's like, where are they already? You know, I've been doing everything. I'm out there in all the dating apps. I've lost weight. I've bought new clothes. I look the best I've ever looked. I'm doing everything. And I've done all the spiritual work even, right? I've done the inner work. And where are they? Right. And so it's learning how to be present, even when it looks like it's not happening fast enough, it's not working. Because the truth is, everything is being created around you already. And it's happening and you don't even see it. And before you know it, you wake up one morning and you've got a group of people, in my case, that live here that are suddenly become friends and possible clients, that you've got great ideas that you want to share with people, that you've found other avenues and ways, and you start to see. And for me, I went for a drive yesterday because I don't have a car the last 3 years. So I don't leave my town very often. So a friend of mine took me for a drive to the town I used to live in 3 years ago, which I hated because there was nothing in it and I couldn't relate to anybody. And now it's like this booming town. I didn't even have a clue. So my hunch, another way of putting true desire is a hunch, right? We follow our hunches. My hunch to go out and work with people on the island as well as people online, I didn't even know that this existed, that there were so many people, new people who were probably great, you know, prospects for working with, and that had money, and that this town was now thriving and it wasn't just some hick town like it was when I used to live in it, right? And I'm driving through multiple towns and seeing the same thing and going, my God, there are so many more people here on this island than there used to be. And they are people from cities and people who are wanting to make change and wanting to evolve and grow, and they're spiritual people. And, you know, so it's really, really interesting that I had a hunch about it, but I didn't really have evidence. And yet my will to create this desire was so strong. I went ahead and started to take action anyway, even though I didn't know that these things were happening. So this was a really big confirmation then yesterday, right? Not that I needed it, but it was, right? So that's really all I'm going to say. And I'm going to just open up to each of you here who are live. And thank you very much for being here, by the way, to make this possible. I just want to ask you, if you have a desire, or if you have a vision that you wish to create, if you feel like sharing it, just in a sentence, you know, you don't have to go deep into it if you don't want to, but just to share with that. Or if there's anyone here who feels like they've lost touch with the desire, it's completely up to you if you'd like to share this or not, or you can type it in the comments if you don't want to share it live. So it's just a question. I mean, I could invite you all just to type it in the comments. Maybe that's a good idea. That's what I was thinking to do. So yeah, maybe just take a moment to type into the comments if you have a vision. And if you don't, I want you to be okay with that too, okay? Or if you maybe had a vision or a desire that, you know, has somehow gotten stuck up at the top of the fridge like mine did, right? That you've kind of forgotten about. What would be your desire? And I think I want to line this up with that, you know, we're starting a new year, it's 2023. A lot of people I've spoken to this year, and I don't know if it's true for all of you here as well, have shared with me that they really feel they've gone through a hard year in 2022, or even a hard few years prior to that. Some people up to 7 or 15 years have been very difficult, and that they're really feeling a big shift and a spaciousness around 2023. I don't know if you're all feeling that or not, but if you're not, that's okay too. So wherever you are right now, if you care to share. Does anyone want to speak, or do you want to type it, or however you prefer? Lauren has one. So Lauren has a vision, interesting, running retreats as part of my vision too. Okay, brilliant. Do you want to share anything else about your vision, Lauren, like the bigger part to it, just so people can know? And if you're watching the replay, by the way, those of you who are watching, feel free to, we have a Facebook group, Living with Divitude. I can pop the link in here, or I'll send it in the email when I share this recording, or you can just message me on Messenger. I'm at Nikki Shearburn on Facebook. If you want to share anything about your vision, or even lack of vision, if you don't have one. And if you can't think of anything right now, just let me know, okay? Because I want to highlight for everyone that this is not a prerequisite, right? I'm not here to say, oh, you don't have a vision, therefore you can't have my help, right? This is what I'm trying to get at here. But what I think I have a special superpower, as I call it in the industry, but I don't like to call it that, but, you know, a special gift, I suppose, for doing, is I can see your vision before you see it, if you can see it, right? I can evoke your vision in you, within you, because everyone has one. And it literally could be like, so now Lauren has just shared, to impact millions around the world with my message, to fill the world with love, light, and joy, which is beautiful, right? But somebody else's vision might be, I want to be a really good mom, or I want to have a boyfriend, right? Or it could be, I want to lose weight. Like, it really doesn't have to be massive. And every single desire, you know, somebody, for example, who may be struggling with losing weight all of their life. I used to be there, by the way. I was always in and out of Weight Watchers and dieting and all sorts of diets and fads and things like that. And then I used this understanding also to let go of that, right? To just go, you know, I just don't want to waste any more of my time thinking about my weight. And an amazing thing happened. I just lost weight, and it didn't really come back on again. And I didn't do a diet, right? I eat healthy, but I eat crappy sometimes, like everybody, right? And then my trousers get a bit tight, so I start to eat a bit more healthy again. So, you know, so my desire has been to be healthy and to be, you know, relatively slim, to be happy in my body, I suppose, right? With the size of myself or whatever. And that didn't go anywhere. That desire has always been there, but I tried to do all the things that we're conditioned to do to make it happen, which was really hard, right? So just to give me a very simple example of what a desire can be. And when I let go of it, like I let go of the trying. I was watching Yoda recently. I was trying to show my daughter Stella Yoda, and he said, there is no try, there's do or not do, right? And in a way that's like create, right? Take action to create, right? But trying is efforting. We don't need to effort. You know, when we are supported, and we are supported by the universe, by our team, our spiritual team, by the energy, by the life force, by God, and we always are, then we are constantly being supported in our desires to create and express it in whichever way that might come through. And we can have as human beings with our minds, because we have amazing imaginations, we can have a big influence on how we express it. So we can decide how we want to express it. And then it's really just up to us to keep going with that, to make it happen, and not to be discouraged by our thinking, right? Okay, does anyone else want to share anything about that? And if not, that's okay. So I would love to open up the conversation, just if anyone would like to say anything about anything, or ask any questions, or if there's anything you want to ask about the retreats or the naked thing, feel free to ask. I'm going to pop the link for the online retreat. Oh yeah, and this is the other thing. I've made it financially accessible for, I think, pretty much everybody to be able to work with me, because I know before, originally, when I started in this business, it was a high ticket model, as they call it in the industry, right? Everything was in the thousands. So I have just put a link in there. The way you need to do it is if if you click on the link now, it will remain in your browser even after the call ends. But if you don't click on it now, when the call ends, it will go away. But you can always ask me for it either, okay? Yeah, so I've made it accessible financially so that there's just far more different options for people to work with me in different ways, face-to-face, online, and at different price points. So it's really quite accessible to everybody. So yes, oh yeah, one more thing I want to share as well is that Divitude Academy, as I say, still continues for entrepreneurs. So that's our 8-month signature offer. There's 3 places remaining on that at the moment, and available rather. And so that also helps you with the business side of things, and my years and years of marketing and business building is in there too. And also the Living with Divitude calls that I was doing earlier, like in the end of last year, 2022, for free, I've turned into a membership. So we're meeting twice a month for a membership fee. So I also have, I'll get that later because I don't want to confuse things. I also have a link to that. Okay, so that's basically the offerings. I put a link tree. Actually, that's what I should probably put in. Wait till I just grab my link tree for you all, okay? And that's everything. You'll see everything that's available then in the link tree, which is also at the top of my Facebook and at the top of my Instagram, which is not opening right now. So I might not be able to share that with you. We'll see. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay, so yeah, I'd like to turn it over because I know like some of you ladies who are here live now are used to being in this Divitude conversation. So I'm happy for you if you even just want to share, from that perspective so that people can see what it's like to have this conversation, or if you've got questions, whichever you like. Oh, I have some more. Sorry, I didn't see these coming through. So Rose says, other than my entrepreneurial desire, what's SB, Rose? I don't know. The desire that has been stirred once again is to go on a holiday in Mauritius. Ooh, lovely. That includes the whole of my immediate family, filled with loads of togetherness and fun. Perfect. And I'm going to ask a second question in a second for all of you. Olga says, the call to create the family well-being center used to call Nature Zone is totally coming through still, and it's happening. Wonderful. So, not to ask you to share this now, but something you can all do around these desires. When you look at this, these are expressions. This is one expression of your true desire. To go on holiday in Mauritius with your family is an expression of a true desire. So the question to ask is, why do I want to go on holiday? So this is where we're taking away the layers. So you can write that down, and you can do this as a little bit of a homework test, right? A little bit of a homework piece. Why do I want to go on holiday? So like, why do I want to build yurts? Why is this thing about building yurts? And yet I'm not doing it because it's very far fetched and it feels like something very far away. And when things feel very far away and in the future, it can be very easy to lose touch with those desires because they feel overwhelming, right? That's what happened to me. Or if it's like that, maybe you don't have the finances or you can't get all the family together or whatever, then it can feel really hard. So when we look at why we want this true desire, why do we want to go on holiday to Mauritius with our family, we can get at like, it's more of a feeling that you're looking for, right? So Lauren, the same, to impact millions of people around the world, like what is your why? I suppose that's another way to ask, what's the true desire? Because it's already in you. So therefore, when we are in touch with it, we see that we are already doing it. So it doesn't feel like something that's millions of miles away. We're already doing it. We're already being it. And what we put our attention to grows, right? And Olga, it seems like you're doing this because, as you just said there, it's that you want to create the Family Wellbeing Center, and it's coming through still, and it's happening. So it's already happening. Okay, so I'm still curious. Ask yourself, what's the why behind it? What's the why behind you creating the Family Wellbeing Center? So would anyone like to share anything? I'd love it if somebody would come on and speak. Is anyone available to speak? No? Okay, and has anyone any questions? Okay, Olga, Lauren, I don't see you, so I'm not really 100% sure if you're there, but
I'm here. I'm just not necessarily I'm sitting in a car.
Thank
I need to,
you.
yes. So
I'm
what I
also here just looking around me.
Hello?
hello.
Hi, Olga speaking, I think, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
So the interesting part is that as you said, the the difference between the divatude and the naked is the layers and the layers. And being video and experiencing divatude is already layers. And I can completely understand and understand that that the desire with the naked is to create more intensity and create the change and make the changes and the desire for the change to be created more intense. Is that what I perceive somehow?
Not 100%. Let me just clarify that, but thanks for bringing that up because
Okay.
that people can understand, right? To be clear.
Thank you.
So divitude is also and always has been about shedding layers of thinking, but it's based on thinking. It's all around thought, right? So we're only really working on one part of our entire body, really, right? We're working on shedding layers of thinking, which is then elevating our soul. And you want to make it body, mind, and soul, but we're kind of missing, you know, this kind of collectiveness of bringing in an embodiment, which we can do through physical healing or ancestral healing in this case, which has been my choice of which way to do this, right? Again, these things can be done in many, many ways. And then being in the nature and also being in these longer times together, these more immersive times together. Because of the impact, because literally how it just speeds everything up rather than, because what I'm doing right now is it's just me talking and us having a conversation once a week, which is great and it's effective, but it takes a longer time. And what I've seen to be true is that when we're spending more time together in, you know, 3-4 hours together or full days together or full weeks together, that speeds things up. When we are embodying it in a bodily way and we're in nature and we're naked and all of those kind of things, then that's speeding it up because it's an embodiment. When we are having somebody that can actually, who's qualified, which I am not to do, to actually help support us with the cellular and ancestral healing that's in our body because of the thoughts that we have and the thoughts of our ancestors that stays in our body, then that's speeding it up. So I guess really what's happened for me is I've sort of quantum leaped over the last few months and I want to bring everyone else with me just to put it in a nutshell, right? So this is my expression of how to do that, right? For those people who want to come along. Does that make sense?
Okay, cool. Absolutely makes sense and perfectly beautiful. Yes, thank you.
You're very welcome and thanks for asking that. Really, really good. Rose says, I'm right in saying that you intend to do these physical retreats regularly going forward. Yes, yeah, this has been a desire of mine because the true desire that I got to the core of when I asked my why is a community and support. It's physical community, really, is what I want. Like I want touch and tactileness. That's not to say I'm leaving my online part behind. I'm not, because even I've had physical businesses before. I had a singing school in Ireland, for example, but you still need online to create clients and all of that kind of stuff as well. So I don't leave the online part. I think a mix of the two is a good balance for me. So both, I'm continuing with Divitude online for entrepreneurs because I still think there's a big call for that. And I'm continuing then with these retreats in person. And I want to offer them to those of my online community as well by doing this. I mean, this very first one that I've shared the link for, Virtually Naked, is just the initiation. It's the very first one, right? So maybe I hope, and I've spoken to Etsanua about this, we might be able to somehow bring the ritual and the quantic and ancestral healing to those as well. We may even bring the naked aspect to it. I have no idea how we'll do that, you know, but it might even be possible to do that. So I'm just, you know, we're dipping our toes in the water here because we've got to see like what people are feeling up for, and how it can convey from an in-person thing to an online thing. So it's a place to get started, right? It's an evolution. But certainly for me, this is an expression of my true desire, and it's really strong in me. It's something that I'm dedicated to and committed to doing this year, building it and growing it this year and beyond that. Because even for me, I see it as like, for example, I've now taken my business away from Ireland and I've put my business here in Spain. So I've made it very physical and concrete here. And I see it as a legacy for Stella. I see part of this being the bigger picture here is, my expression again is having that land and making a center in a way like Olga has, so that we have our own space to invite people to, and making our own accommodation for people to come to. So, and Etsanua shares the same vision. In fact, she's already started. She already has a space that she's very kindly agreed to provide for us for our retreats. And there's accommodation for 8 people, which I thought was incredible, because 8's the number, right, that I always use. So she has accommodation for 8 people. And it's very in nature and very rustic, and it's really, really nice. So yeah, it's one of those magic miracles that's just fallen into place, that's been orchestrating in the background, and there's no looking away, there's no going back. It's one of those, it's not like a manufactured idea, it's a very divinely inspired idea. Yeah. And Rose also says, I'm up for a quantum leap for sure. Jump on our wagon then, come on. Yeah. So, well, I mean, obviously you ladies that are here are still in Divitude, and you're going to have this, right? So, and as I shared with, and I'll have this in a more private conversation for our Divitude ladies, you're invited as part of Divitude as our guest to Virtually Naked retreat on the 4th and 5th. So put it in your calendars, please. I'm hoping that I'll see you all there. Lauren says you're lighting up, Nikki. Definitely divinely inspired. There you go. Yeah. And, and for those entrepreneurs out there, and I've spoke all the time about how it's not about the marketing. It's not about, we innocently think it's not, Facebook doesn't work, so I've got to go to Instagram, or I've got to be online more often, or all of these kind of things. It's not, right? Because it is that, it's just that light that people sense it, right? People just, when we're divinely inspired by something, the people who are supposed to be part of it are already there waiting for it, right? I sent 2 WhatsApp messages over the Christmas, and I have a group of 22 people that live on the island that are meeting with me on the 22nd of January that are just into this, and I didn't do anything else. And here I am at an online business that literally and that was one part of it too. It's also looking at the signs, was I in alignment with what I was doing? Because it didn't feel in alignment. It started to feel since the pandemic really, but especially this year, I'm here talking to the wall on Facebook. No one sees my posts anymore. No one, and I don't know, and I'm not interested in knowing, because some people will say, oh, it's the algorithm, and other people will say it's a spiritual energetic thing. And I really don't care. All I know it was I just don't want to be spending hours a day on a computer with nobody looking back, or nobody talking back. And interestingly, when I started to share about naked, people started to talk again. Right. So it's a lot to do with alignment. Right. I'm just going to mute Lauren because I can't. Lauren, could we ask you just to mute yourself, because there's some sound coming over that we can't mute out for some reason. It's not muting. I don't know if you can hear. Sorry, Lauren. If you can hear us, would you mind pressing mute on your microphone, please? We're just getting some background noise coming through. It's gone now. Okay. Olga says my internet is very interrupted now. Okay, that's okay. Well, I'm going to wrap up everything now anyway. So that's it really. That was the purpose of today's call, was really just to give you an overview of how things have shifted in my offerings and what offerings are available. And for those people who wish to come along, and feel free to share it, because as I say, it's not you can share that link for the weekend retreat. So I'll speak to each of you on Divitude tomorrow that are here, and my clients as well, about coming along to the retreat. But share it with anyone you like as well, because it's for absolutely anybody. It literally is for anybody. And that just feels drawn to it, and it's pretty accessible. I think there's an early bird on. Oh yeah, I should tell you that. I have to do my marketing piece now, my sales piece. There's an early bird on it, so it's €222 until the 15th of January, which is about, is it a week away from now? Something like that. Today is the 9th of January, so it's not even a week, it's 6 days from now. So there is an early bird until then for €222 for those people who want to join. The date of the retreat itself is the 4th and the 5th, as I say, online. You will not be required to be naked at any point during it, nor will I. So just to reassure you all about that. It's a weekend. It's going to be from 11 a.m. until about 3 p.m. That may be shorter depending on people's energy levels, and we'll take breaks. So you'll just be in your own living room or wherever you are, comfortable. You know, people can turn on and off their cameras if they need to get up and eat or do whatever they need to do. So it's like being in a space in a room, and that will happen 2 days in a row. So you'll go back into your life, you'll be given some tasks and just things to ponder on in between. And then the price will go up to €333 from the 15th. And it's all there in black and white on the page that I've sent you. And you can also just click to pay. So those of you in DivaTude, you don't need to pay, by the way. But that's my complimentary gift to you all. But for anyone else who's watching, you just click on the, let me see, actually, I could do a little screen share for a second just to show you. One sec, if I can open it now. Hang on. So you click the link. There we go. And funnily enough, I actually somehow managed to have some pictures of me taken naked recently, which I didn't actually decide I was going to do. It just kind of happened when I was doing another shoot. The lady said, would you try some naked? And they were quite nice. So I used them for this. So that everything really fell into place. So it's there. It tells you a little bit about it. I'm probably going to change some of the text as things evolve, but this is what I could come up with for now. And as I say, you know, there's your early bird, the prices, it's all there in front of you. There's a video about it as well, if you want to watch a little bit more about it. It talks specifically about it. It's a little bit of testimonials from a couple of clients, what to expect. And there's really just 4 parts to this. And a little bit about me, and some of you know about me already. And then you just click through and it brings you to a page where you pay. So right now the price is at $222, and you can pay with tells you there, all sorts of different ways that you can pay. Okay. So I hope that that's been helpful, and thank you very much for everybody for joining today. Thank you, Rose. And I will see you all on DivaTude Academy tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to it. I hope you can be there. And yeah, I've missed you all because I had quite a long break. I had 2 weeks off. So it was like 3 weeks altogether, I think, since I've seen you all, which has been really long. And I can't wait to see you there. So if anyone wants to get in touch with me about the retreats, or the virtually naked retreat in particular, or any of the others, because they're happening continuously here on the island. So for people who want to drop into that or fly in for it or whatever, just contact me and I can let you know details. Or for people who are living on the island, contact me. I can let you know when the next workshops. So there's retreats, workshops, and immersives. And I'm on email at nikki@stepintoyourstardom.com, or on Instagram and Facebook at Nikki Shearerburn. Okay, thanks for being here. Lots of love. See you soon. Bye.